I loved seeing Chris Paul go back into Los Angeles tonight and not only own the Clippers physically, but mentally. He got into Patrick Beverley's head, and Beverley really embarrassed the organization. I mean, if you want to have the elegance of the Dodgers or the Lakers in Los Angeles, in the biggest game for the Clippers ever, that image of Patrick Beverley, Bush League move. Sorry, truth hurts. You know, Chris Paul was a Clipper. He was a great player. Blake Griffin was jumping over cars at slam dunk contests. He was more popular. DeAndre Jordan was complaining about CP3. Ownership at the time was ridiculous. And here's Chris Paul coming back into Los Angeles and owning the Clippers. What a great sports moment. Chris Paul's a guy that's overcome from day one in this league, from New Orleans, Oklahoma City, Clippers, Phoenix. Could not be happier for the dude. And I got to be honest, that Patrick Beverley move, ugly, embarrassing, bad, should be addressed. Got to do better. Biggest stage for the Clippers perhaps ever. That's my memory.
We are Game 6, Staples Center. The Los Angeles Clippers looking to push this to a Game 7. They'll need another spectacular performance from Paul George. Make no mistake about that. But they'll also need Reggie Jackson to show up. They'll also need Marcus Morris to show up. They might even need LaMarcus Cousins to show up. And oh, by the way, Patrick Beverley and Terrence Mann keep playing that defense. If you're the Phoenix Suns, an entirely different scenario altogether. You got CP3. He's been struggling with his shooting from the field. You got Devin Booker. He's been struggling with his shooting from the field. Not only do they need to become better marksmen, but they also need to get the ball to DeAndre Ayton, who's shooting 70% from the field in the series, but somehow, some way, even with that reality, in Game 5, he only took 9 shots, having played 26 more minutes than DeMarcus Cousins, who took 12 shots. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And if the Phoenix Suns are to avoid a Game 7 and advance to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1993, it'd be a good thing for them to get that man the basketball. For more on tonight's game, we'll send it to Om Youngmisuk with the Clippers.
Stephen A., this season the Clippers have played their best when the odds are against them. Ty Lue is 10-2 when facing elimination and 3-0 this postseason. Paul George said Lue did not scrap the game plan when the Clippers fell behind 3-1 in this series. He just made some minor adjustments and gave the players the freedom to figure it out. George says the Clippers have taken on Lue's calm and confident demeanor. And if the Clippers can force a Game 7, Lue is 12-1 with a chance to clinch a series. With a report on the Suns, here's Dave McMenamin.
Thanks, Ohm. Well, focus is the word of the day for Phoenix, and controlling that focus to stay locked in on executing the things that cost the Suns in Game 5, namely playing better defense and with a sense of desperation. Suns reserve Torrey Craig told me this morning they know the task at hand, they know what's at stake, and he pointed out that even though the Suns might not have made the finals since 1993, this Suns team is very familiar with tonight's challenge. They closed out Game 6 on the road at Staples Center in the first round against the Lakers just less than a month ago. Tonight, they just have to do the same thing against the Clippers.
We now bring in Hall of Famer Mike Wilbon, as well as our NBA champion Kendrick Perkins. Wilbon, I'll go to you first here. Paul George, Chris Paul. Who's got the most pressure tonight?
Paul George, because they can go home. I mean, Chris Paul's got another day to live and fight, right, no matter what happens tonight. But Paul George didn't have that. And the question is for Paul George, I know in their camp, in their locker room, their coaches, their teammates, they're saying all we got to win is one. And that's true. And then another. But it's on Paul George. And by the way, Paul George has answered this in a way that goes against the narrative about him for the past few seasons.
Okay.
All right. And when you look at the game that he just played in Phoenix, Stephen A., I mean, he certainly seems up to it again. Can he duplicate it? He needs to do. I'm not saying he has to score 40, but he's going to have an all-around terrific game, rebounding, playmaking, and scoring, and more so than Chris Paul, whose pressure day will come if it's not tonight.
Perk, let's take it to another level. Just this series overall, who's got the most pressure on them right now between these two guys, CP3 or Paul George?
Well, it's CP3. I feel like Paul George and the Clippers are playing with house money right now. They're missing Kawhi Leonard, Serge Ibaka, Zubac. That's 3 of their main guys. CP3, on the other hand, being up 3-1, having a fully healthy roster, he has to go out there and deliver. It's on him to go out there and handle his business to get this win on this series. We know that he blew a 3-1 lead in the past. Now is his opportunity to finally make an appearance to the finals. And I think this is going to be either a hit on his legacy, positive or negative. So it's on CP3. The pressure is on him. You do not want to go to a Game 7. Anything could happen in a Game 7. Forget the series. Tonight, the pressure is on Chris Paul.
I feel you on that. I got to transition to DeAndre Ayton with both of you guys, though, because I don't understand for the life of me. He came into the game into Game 5, shooting about 70% from the field. Right now, he's shooting about 67% from the field. Only took 9 shots in 36 minutes in Game 5. Now, I know that Ty Lue for the Clippers threw a zone on them early on, and that disrupted them or what have you. But considering the cerebral player that Chris Paul has always been, I don't understand for the life of me how DeAndre Ayton didn't get the ball more. Mike.
I do. The stage was big in Phoenix in Game 5. They thought everybody was talking about Suns in 5. And DeAndre Ayton is not the most assertive fellow yet.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to see a much different guy in 2 or 3 seasons, Stephen. I know you and I have been talking about this and with Perk the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
The stage was big, and he might have shied away a little bit. I don't expect to see that tonight.
Sure. You saw evidence of him shying away. I didn't see that.
First of all, he fumbled about 5 different passes and balls out of bounds.
That is true.
Secondly, there were times when Chris Paul hit him and he did not turn around and take that shot. You could see in the huddle.
Okay.
Like it was early in the season when they were screaming at DeAndre,
right.
Shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. Remember, Stephen A., this is his first time with the lights this bright. All right, he's going to get better. I don't expect him to be. You expect him to be a finished product already?
Not a finished product.
He ain't gonna be Tim Duncan at this point.
But if you were playing well in the conference semifinal in the first round, and then the semifinals, and for the first few games in the Western Conference
and Game 5 ain't different.
All of a sudden, Game 5 arrives.
Game 5's not different.
It's a little.
You got a chance to go to the finals. It's not different.
But you up 3-1. You ain't down 3-1.
I can expect Chris Paul to process all that. Maybe even Devin Booker. Not DeAndre Ayton. Not at this point. Cool. Okay, Perk has been in this situation. Maybe he disagrees completely.
Okay. Perk, do you agree or disagree with what Wilbon just said?
Well, I kind of agree with Wilbon, but here's my thing with DeAndre Ayton. And like those old people used to say, a closed mouth don't get fed. At the end of the day, you got to want the ball. You got to establish your presence in the paint. Right now, Zubac is out. They started small against you. You had 9 offensive rebounds in Game 4. If they're not feeding you the ball, go get it off the glass. It's a lot of missed shots that's coming off the rim. Go impose your will in the paint. Establish your identity. Outrun DeMarcus Cousins when he get on the court. Use your quickness. Put him in pick and rolls. Be that lob threat at the basket. Again, it's on CP3 and Devin Booker to feed him the ball, but it's also on DeAndre Ayton to establish himself in that paint and demand attention, demand the rock. Go to the offensive glass.
That was a very astute critique on the part of Kendrick Perkins right there.
Totally.
If you any kind of brother, you should be able to outrun DeMarcus Cousins, but especially if you're from the Bahamas. I mean, you should know how to outrun DeMarcus Cousins anyway.